Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks have a massive visitor via the transfer portal on campus this week, and the number one player in the portal, defensive lineman from Texas A&M, Walter Nolen, is visiting Eugene, seeing what they have to offer, seeing, if he could potentially be a Duck. So we'll talk about the impact of this and what this could mean for Oregon, what this could mean for Walter Nolen going forward, what this tells us about Dan Lanning, what this tells us about Oregon as a whole going forward. But first things first, make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. I promise you, the portal never sleeps. The good news is we talk ball every single day, so we're staying as updated as possible when it comes to all things transfer portal, all things college football. Keep it locked right here. Also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JDPakel. We appreciate y'all so much in advance for that. So when you talk about a guy like Walter Nolen, you're going to hear the words fit a lot thrown around when it comes to the transfer portal. Hey, this guy fits well in this scheme. This guy would fit well at this school. With Walter Nolen, it's kind of a funny conversation because everybody could use a guy like Walter Nolen. Everybody could use a defensive lineman who's right around 6'4", in the 300 range according to Texas A&M's roster. A guy who's active on the defensive line, who had 4 sacks last season, who's got good quick twitch, good agility for a guy his size in that position. Like, of course, everyone could use a guy like Walter Nolen. So when you talk about the word fit, he's a fit everywhere, is what I want to make sure we say. But I think more importantly for Oregon, as they move into the Big Ten, this is the kind of player you need to win in that conference. Because remember now, the Pac-12, Oregon's no longer going to be there. As the tectonic plates shift in the conference realignment conversation, Oregon will be in the Big Ten next year, along with Washington, USC, and UCLA. So that means you're going to play schools like Michigan, you're going to play schools like Iowa in the future. And so what we know about this conference, it's a line of scrimmage conference. Michigan is probably the best example of that. They are one of the most elite line of scrimmage football teams in that conference, if not America. They've won the conference the last 3 years. So guys like Walter Nolen that can be a force in the interior or also line up and be kind of a big defensive end for you, depending on how you want to utilize him. You need a player like him to be able to compete in that conference. And Oregon has shown very clearly they are wanting to be, and have been, quite frankly, to this point under Dan Lanning, a line of scrimmage football team. Last year, allowed less than 100 yards a game, right around 3 yards per carry allowed. They were great in the trenches. That's what Dan Lanning wants to be. That's what they want to do at Oregon. So when you talk about what a visit could mean or what it tells us about Dan Lanning, like I said, 2 things I think is my biggest takeaway here. One, Dan Lanning is going to continue to build those trenches. He understands what it takes to win, not just in the Big Ten, but at the Tier 1 level. You want to win the college football playoff? You want to be a team that wins national championships? It starts with big human beings up front. Guys like a Walter Nolen. And having him visit is a great step in the right direction. The second thing this tells me, and we kind of already knew this, but this is further proof of this for a guy like Dan Lanning and for Oregon, they are always going to push the envelope when it comes to acquiring talent. Because think about where Dan Lanning's from a coaching tree perspective, right? Nick Saban, Kirby Smart. Both those guys, what do we know about them? Every single signing day, they're always right up there in the top 3 of the recruiting rankings. Every single year. They understand, yes, X's and O's, it's crucial. Got to have it. But Jimmy's and Joe's is what wins you national titles. Dan Lanning, I promise you, he's taken note of that. He understands that. He knows that's how you got to win at the elite level, is getting guys like Walter Nolen a part of your football team. So for Oregon, what I just said a second ago, the line of scrimmage for them is already pretty solid. But he's not worried about need. He's saying, hey, can we get better? Is there a way for us to continue to improve in a talent perspective on the defensive side of the football, on the defensive line even? That's crucial. It's extremely crucial. I think that's good news for Oregon fans as you move forward into the Big Ten, knowing you have a coach who's never going to settle when it comes to acquiring talent. Now, I would also say, we said this when Walter Nolen jumped in the portal officially. A guy of his services, being the number 1 player in the portal, he's not coming at a low price point. I mean, you would imagine he's somewhere in that low 7-figure range, which I think is about what you would have to, put up for a guy like Walter Nolen. This is further proof that Oregon is an NIL player. They are serious about acquiring talent. From a coaching staff perspective, of course, but you can have, all the good intentions you want about acquiring talent. But if you don't have the resources to back up those intentions, it doesn't matter. So the fact that you got Walter Nolen visiting, I think, is a good sign as to what Oregon has from an NIL perspective, from what they're thinking strategically in building this roster, and again, the sense of urgency to continue to push the envelope to apply top talent to this roster in Eugene. I keep saying this, but I feel like if you're an Oregon Duck fan, you got to feel real good about the architect behind this roster, behind this program in Dan Lanning. And this visit here is another step in the right direction and another encouraging sign of what's ahead in Eugene. So, wherever Walter Nolen ends up, whether it's Oregon, whether it's somewhere else, we will talk about it. We will keep you as up to date as possible right here on this show, The Hard Count, on this platform, the On3 YouTube channel. So, again, make sure you're subscribed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JD Pickell. Tweet at me, direct message me. Let me know what you think about Walter Nolen and where you think he should end up at. Looking forward to hearing from y'all. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time.